Okay, so if you haven't been to one of my webinars before, my name is Lyra Mackay, and I'm an evangelist at Zoho. And I work from Australia. I live on the Gold Coast. And like many of you probably, and all of my colleagues right now, I'm working from home. So, which is a bit sad because usually as an evangelist, my role would be to travel a lot and go to events and meet all of you and go to like Zoholics, which is our annual user event. But sadly, they've been cancelled because of the coronavirus. So that's all right. I'm running the webinars for now. So I was already doing a few webinars on Zoho One, if you're familiar with that. I was doing that, but now I've switched to Zoho Remotely. So yeah, that's what I'll be talking about with you today, is getting started with Zoho Remotely. So before I get started, just a few housekeeping tips. Chrome or Firefox is going to be the best way for you to watch this, or on the Showtime Viewer app if you're using your mobile or your tablet. If there is a bad connection, refresh your browser. And if at any time you can't hear me or it drops out, let me know in the chat and I can try and refresh on my end, and it will just log me straight back in. It's also being recorded, so you'll get a recording after I finish the webinar. It'll probably come through this afternoon, so or wherever you are, a few hours after the webinar. If you have any questions, post them in the question tab only. That would be great, just to separate them, make sure I can answer your questions, and I'll have time at the end. But because we do have a small group today, I will be checking them as we go. And then if you want to chat, if at any time I ask you to type in the chat, there's a chat bar there as well. So today, our agenda is, first I'm going to talk about Zoho a little bit, but then we're going to talk about, Zoho Remotely as a whole. And then I'm going to talk to you about the different tools within Zoho Remotely for remote work. I'm going to show you a demo of the admin panel of Zoho Remotely. I'll go through some next steps. So what can you do after you finish this webinar? And then we'll get some questions done, answered as well. So first up, I want to run a quick poll just to get an idea of what you know about Zoho. So you should see a poll pop up on your screen. You get one choice. So just click on one of those. So some people have used just a few Zoho products before. One person has used a lot, probably using Zoho One or something. And then someone is a little bit familiar with, they've heard of Zoho, but have never used Zoho or our products. Okay, that's good. So this webinar is going to give you a really good insight into how to use Zoho Remotely. So it is a free tool available until, I believe, July 1st. And then we might be reconsidering and extending that depending on the, situation globally. Okay, cool. So I'm going to close that poll now. Thank you everyone for answering. It just gives me a good idea of, what I should sort of focus on, where I should put my energy today. So first I want to talk just a little bit about Zoho as a whole, as a company. So we've been around for 24 years, and that might be a little surprising because generally we are maybe not as well known as some of the other big tech software companies. And that is because we don't put a lot of money into marketing. So we do spend a lot of money in research and development, in, engineering and, getting our products really, really up to scratch. So, yeah, and research and design and things like that, and developing new products. So I'm saying that because if you're wondering about the capabilities of these free products of Zoho Remotely and whether they'll be able to support the needs of your organization, they definitely can. So Zoho as a company has over, it's probably 8,000 or 9,000 now. This is a little bit old. So we have, about 9,000 employees, all working together across multiple countries, cities, and time zones, and in multiple different departments, obviously. And we all use Zoho products. So a lot of the products I'm going to talk about today, we use heavily within Zoho. And we find them, I mean, at least I find them really, really valuable. I've used other products out there before that are not Zoho, and it was a really easy transition into using Zoho products for me. And I just find the user interface and the design really easy to use and get a good grasp of as well. So this is how, we sort of like to layer, or we like to show our sort of product offering. So down the bottom, you have all of the individual applications. And, I'm going to talk about 10 of those today. So they are separate applications that you can buy as a standalone app. And then some of these apps are bundled into different platforms. So you can see the customer experience platform, finance, HR, collaboration, commerce. And that is where Zoho Remotely will fit into one of these platform boxes here. Eventually, when we decide to either extend the free period or put a price tag on it, it will be in one of the platform boxes, but it will be very cheap as well. If you know anything about Zoho's pricing, it's generally a lot cheaper than a lot of other software vendors. And yeah, it will be very similar to the other ones as well. And then up the top, we have Zoho One, which is the operating system for business. And that is basically 45 different applications bundled into one to help you run your business across every single department. So the idea is that you can actually run your entire business using Zoho One. So some of you might be using that. That's awesome. Some of you might not. That's fine. We're going to focus on Zoho Remotely today because, that's what you're all here for. So, excuse me, I want to do another poll just to get to know what is important to you today. Because I want to make sure, all of your needs and wants are covered, and we can sort of do, cover everything that you want specifically today. So if you want to learn about a specific app, let me know in the chat what app you want me to go a little bit deeper in. A few of you want a broad understanding of all of the apps. That's great. I will go over all of the apps in Zoho Remotely. If you have a few questions about that, I can answer that. But unfortunately, I won't be going into campaigns and CRM just because they're not included in Zoho Remotely. But I can send you some resources on some other webinars that you can watch. Rob said CRM and Remotely. Yep, Remotely will be covered, definitely. CRM, again, I can send you some more information. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any specific questions. I can definitely try and answer them as best as I can. So one of Zoho's core values as a company is privacy. And a lot of companies talk about privacy and how important it is for them and their customers. But I think a lot of people or a lot of companies sort of drop the ball because they forget that the other, companies that they involve themselves with won't have the same sort of standards of privacy. And somehow the data might be compromised. So, or a company says that they value your privacy, but then they use your data to develop, projects or something you know nothing about, or even selling your data to their partners. And this stuff is pretty common, especially with free products, free versions of things. Typically, when you think of free versions of applications, you think ads. So with Zoho, that is very, very different. We are absolutely committed to your privacy because we also value our privacy a lot. And we, that's one of the big reasons why we are a private bootstrapped company. We've never taken any money from investors, and our CEO has made it very clear that we will never go public. And that means we don't have shareholders that we need to please. And we are already very profitable and have been for many years. So we really only have to worry about pleasing our customers and our staff. So all of Zoho's staff definitely get taken care of quite a lot. So that's very nice to know. And, we're very aware that you as our customers have built our business. So this is the main reason that Remotely is free right now, because we want to, stand by you, offering our apps for free right now, because we can see that, it's needed. And in that time of need, we just want to try and give back to our customers and help out where we can. Yeah, so So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about there. Yeah, so we don't own your data. We'll never sell your data, and you'll never see any ads inside our products. So I think that's just really nice to know. So getting started with Zoho Remotely, these are the applications included within Zoho Remotely. So we have, you can read, but we have Click, Meeting, Showtime, WorkDrive, Project, Sprints, Assist, Writer, Sheet, and Show. So I will go into these in more detail. But basically, this is how we separate the applications within Remotely. So into communication, collaboration, remote assistance, and productivity tools. So here you can see sort of where they all fit in. So Click, Showtime, and Meeting would be our communication tools, and so on. And you can sort of see that a lot of them cross over, but this is just how we've chosen to put them in there. You'll also see Lens here. That's not available in Australia. It is in the US and possibly India at the moment. I'm not sure if it's coming, but that's mainly for if you have like a server or something and you want to use, sorry, if you want to have a video of someone's server, if you've got some sort of issue, it's basically just like a sort of video call, sort of like similar to Assist. But yeah, we won't talk about that because it's not included for Australia. So starting with our communication tools, and this is a really big one. So many of us would be used to getting up and talking to someone face to face. So how do you do that when working from home? So Click, Meeting, and Showtime are our communication tools. So starting off with Click, Click is the cornerstone for unified communications. And you can see it's available on desktop and mobile. So you can download a desktop app, which I use a lot, working for Zoho. It has chat, audio, video, and web conferencing tools built into it. So this is an example of the video conferencing, of the web conferencing, and it's also embedded across the platform. So I think all of the apps that I'll talk about today actually have a little smart bar of Click included. And you can see this little bar down the bottom. So this is in an app called Zoho Mail. It's not included in Zoho Remotely, but the smart bar of Click is included in all of the applications. And okay, so if you have any questions about Click, feel free to ask them in the questions tab or any other questions as you go. I can have a look at them or get to them at the end. And then next up we have Zoho Meeting. So Zoho Meeting allows real-time audio, video, and screen sharing. So it's similar to Click, except you can now have a video call with, I think it's up to 25 people. So when working from home sort of sprung into action and we had to figure out a way to all maintain communication, Meeting was not really that well developed. So we have been pushing really hard, and we've actually now made it available for you to be able to have a video call with 25 other people. And we'll probably continue to up that number as well as we go along. Okay, and then in Meeting, you can actually let your team members take over the meeting, which is really cool if if you're having an internal meeting and you're all chatting about something and I'm the presenter and maybe I'm showing you my screen and then someone else has a question or they want to add something to that, you can give them control and then they can take over your screen or they can show you their screen. And it's just, adds sort of to the communication and the collaboration aspect of working from home. So also on Meeting, actually, you can run webinars if that's something you're interested in. You can do that on Meeting. You can also use Showtime for that. So this is a slide on Showtime. And Showtime is similar to Meeting. Personally, I like the Showtime interface better for running webinars, but Meeting does work great as well. So originally, Showtime was made as a platform to run like more internal sort of classroom style training sessions. So where the presenter, if you think of a uni class, the presenter or the teacher is up on stage and the students can stream the class from their device. Maybe the room is really, really big and the people at the back can't see. And then the people in the room can ask questions or answer polls from the app. And sort of it's like a real time meeting. But when coronavirus started and we all had to start working from home, we developed it out a bit so that you could run webinars on it as well. And this is what I'm using to run this webinar right now. Another thing compared to Meeting is that Showtime does have a few more features and it's just a little bit more robust as well. So we are also currently developing it out to be a complete learning management system where you would have multiple sessions that sort of lead on from each other, like lesson 1, lesson 2, and so on. And then you can also offer paid training through Showtime, which you can't do through Meeting. So, so yeah, you can take payment for running your online classes. And then there's a whiteboard feature in Showtime as well. If you wanted to explain something, you can do that. And then, yeah, here's a slide just comparing the two. So Meeting, best for team meetings with audio and video calls and screen sharing. You can do webinars. The sessions are very secure, so we use end-to-end encryption. With Showtime, best for webinars, classroom-style trainings, on-demand and paid training sessions. You can record your webinars or your meetings in both of these applications, and it will actually record what the other people are saying as well. So if you give someone else access to the presentation, if you give someone else the ability to start running the presentation, their slides and voice will be recorded in that as well. So if you have any questions about those tools, feel free to post them in the questions tab. But I'm going to move on to the collaboration tools. So this includes WorkDrive, projects, and sprints. Okay, Paul just asked, when using the product in Australia, what data centers are used or will the data stay in Australia? So yeah, I'm pretty sure the data stays in the Australian data centers. I can double check that for you. And if that's different, I will let you know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think originally at the start, when we were still building them, your data was housed in the US, but now it would have been all moved to Australia. And you can also ask your if you ask a support person, they can look into it for you and see where it is housed and move it over to Australia. But I'm pretty sure all of the Australian data has been moved into the Australian data centers. So yeah, that's good to know as well. So here we have WorkDrive. And basically, WorkDrive is a central repository for all of your files. And it's a unified file management system. And it's specifically made for teamwork. So you can create groups, set access based on different roles, capture ideas instantly, organize your teamwork, track the activity that happens within a single document or within a whole folder. And it's really, really easy to search for files as well. So this is what WorkDrive looks like. You can see there is a desktop version and a mobile version, and then you can also have a little desktop sync. So if you work offline often, you can have the files available on your desktop, and then when you come back online, they'll be updated to the cloud. But yeah, you can view, edit, and share files on both your desktop and your mobile. I find it really useful when I'm, not that I'm traveling anymore, but when I did used to travel, that was really useful. And also the desktop sync was useful for that as well. Then you can also create private and public team folders. So people outside of your organization can actually see the files that you want them to see. And so you can share them with, you can share folders or specific files with those external people really, really easily. And then another thing with WorkDrive is that you can see this little draft, this blue draft icon. So this means that this person has created a sheet and is working on it, but has not made it available for his or her team to see it yet. So this is great if you're, if you're sort of half finished on something, you're not really ready for everyone to see it. There's no real need for everyone to see it. So you can mark it as sort of published, I think, or mark it as ready, I think it's called. And then your team will be able to see that there in this folder. So some other features include, some intelligent reports and an activity timeline of your edits on any documents. So you can actually, I will chat about this later when I talk about the Office suite, but you can see this unread little tab here. So if you were to click on that, you would see all of the changes made in these different folders and on what document the changes were made and who were they made by and when. So that, someone doesn't have to go into WorkDrive, update a document, and then send a big email out to everyone or a chat and say, hey, I updated this document, have a look at it. Everyone will get, little notifications saying, oh, something, and when you log into WorkDrive, someone's made an update. So, it just sort of reduces the noise when communicating and collaborating with your team. So Zoho Projects, that is our project management tool. So it is a waterfall project management tool. And that means that you start with, you sort of start with your milestones, and then under that, you have a bunch of task lists. And then under those, you have a bunch of tasks that you need to get done. So you can sort of see this here. This little flag is a milestone. You've got a task list here, and then a bunch of tasks that you have to do under there. And you can see that you can set dependencies between tasks. And it's really collaborative. It's available on desktop and mobile as well. So you can see if this person hasn't finished their task, and then this person, won't be able to start their task. You can set up like different task boards for your team, and it just makes communication really easily. There's also a little calendar in here, and you can see it down here. Here's a little smart bar, so it's available there as well. There is also like a sort of, your feed here. People on your team or yourself can post on the feed so that you can all sort of get those updates in the one place. So yeah, here's another example of those milestones and tasks and subtasks. So when you first come in, you create a project and a bunch of different milestones. And these are the big things along the way. For example, if you're like building a house, you might have, I would say, sort of 3 to 10 different milestones, depending on how big your projects are. But there might be like the structure, and then the sort of internal walls and floors and stuff like that, and then the furnishings, and then any little extra bits and pieces after that. And then, like I said before, you can set dependencies for some tasks. You can also delegate tasks to your team and schedule when these should be done by. You can view the whole project calendar to figure out your daily, weekly, and monthly schedules. Your team can comment on all of the milestones and tasks, and you can share this information with your client as well. So maybe if you allow your client to see it, they will be able to log in and view the project and maybe see that because a shipment was delayed, some work couldn't be done. So they're not calling you and bugging you and wondering why this work hasn't been done. Stuff like that. And then we also have some really great analytics built into to projects as well. So this is like a milestone Gantt chart. So it just shows you sort of when everything should be done by, the dependencies between them, who's doing them. So your team has a really good idea of who to contact when something's not being done, and just, really learn to collaborate together. So also, lastly, with projects, you can view it in classic, plain, or Kanban view. So I really like this Kanban view. So you can see all of the open, in progress, to be tested, and closed tasks, and you can actually customize these as well. And then you can simply just really easily drag and drop between these. So maybe if you move something from open to in progress, you can just move it into there. and then move it through into there and close it. Okay, cool. So another project management tool that we have is called Zoho Sprints. And the difference between projects and sprints is that projects is waterfall project management, and sprints is agile project management. So it's a little more niche. It's very useful for something like a design team where they're trying to design something, but they're not sure how long step 1 or step 3 will take. So sprints is a lot better at adapting to change. There's similar functionality. You can collaborate with your team in real time really easily. There's a sort of similar feed people can post on and view what tasks your colleagues have to do. Um, there's some pretty awesome dashboards to get an overview of where things stand within your projects or within the overall company as a whole. Some powerful analytics in there as well. And you can sort of track your progress in a Scrum board style. So basically, when you first come into sprints, you will, let me just change this slide. You'll see, sorry if this is a bit blurry, you'll have a backlog here. And basically, you've got your project backlog. So you just add every single task, everything you have to do into your project backlog. And you don't have to have everything defined when you first start. You can continually add into that. And then if you have something like user education on a website, that would be a sprint. And that would be sort of one like category, similar to your milestone, I guess. And you would just move a bunch of these projects under this sprint. And then when you go into the sprint, you can create a few different sprints at a time. And then when you were to hit like start the sprint, that would go into the Scrum board style. So your teams working on the sprint would be able to see all of this information there, see what has to be done, what's in development, what has to be tested, and maybe what is done as well. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to cover for sprints. But mainly the idea with sprints is that you can get feedback from your team and the client really early on and adapt to change as needed. Yeah, so you can just put in more tasks into your project backlog, add them to sprints, and run those and finish those. It's definitely harder to adapt to change in Zoho projects because that's sort of more for something that you have done before. You know what needs to be done. You sort of know how long it's going to take. Yeah, so yeah, sprints is better at adapting to change, more agile project management things. So Zoho Assist is our remote customer support tool. It's great for IT teams to manage and troubleshoot your remote assets. It's a lot easier, quicker, and less stressful for your customers. The application supports file transfer, voice and video chatting, rebooting, and multiple monitor support. And the IT person can also share their screen for a demo or for training. And so the idea behind Assist is that I know internally we use it a lot. So I actually had an issue with I was setting up a demo account of the CRM and I actually had an issue and I wasn't sure, a bunch of code sort of popped up on the screen. And so I got one of the support guys to log on and view my screen and actually take over control of my screen and change a few things around and get it working. So that was a lot easier, quicker and less stressful for me compared to him maybe on the phone explaining to me what I needed to do. It was just a lot easier than me figuring out for myself what to do. So yeah, great for IT teams to do that. This is what it looks like. On the business side, you bring a bunch of customer information in and you can start or schedule assistance with them. Okay, so moving on to our productivity tools. So this is the Office suite and it comes under WorkDrive. We have Writer, Sheet, and Show. And I won't go into much detail because they're pretty straightforward, similar to other, Word data and presentation um, creation tools out there. But there are some really cool things you can do with it. If you are interested in the productivity tools, I am running a webinar tomorrow on communicating and collaborating with Zoho Remotely. I will cover Click in more detail, Meeting in more detail, and WorkDrive in more detail. And I'll also show you a bit of Writer and a bit of Sheet in there as well. So this is Zoho Writer here, and it looks pretty much like any other word processing tool. It's very nice and minimal, clean and organized. Like other cloud software, it auto saves your updates. You can have the option to lock and mask sensitive information. It comes with a built-in smart writing assistant. So if you've heard of Zia, that's our Zoho intelligent assistant, and it's our artificial intelligence virtual assistant. And she does things like pick up on spelling mistakes, but she also understands the context of your writing and suggests changes based on your sentence structure and other things like that. It comes with a bunch of templates. You can share your work and collaborate really easily with your team. If you're the owner of the document, you can turn on track changes so that people can't actually delete anything you've written. And you know who and where people make edits to things. You can do comments. You can do a bunch of different page layout things, and Click is also built into it. So that's it here. If you can see that little button, if you were to click that, Click would open up, and you can, within Writer, you can send documents off for signatures. You can work off the internet and then log in on a laptop or tablet or your phone. You can also bring in your other files, so your .docx files or your PDF files, bring them in, edit them in Writer, export them as a .docx or PDF. You can connect Writer with your Google Drive, with Dropbox, OneDrive, Evernote. And the best thing is that it's actually available completely free forever, even without Remotely. So if you are using Remotely right now and then you really, really like Writer, you can always use the free version of that. And most of our products actually have free versions, so definitely check those out. Same with Sheet. It's our online spreadsheet software. It has very similar capabilities to Writer in terms of sharing, collaboration, pre-built templates. It integrates with Zoho Forms. You can bring in data really easily. It's also available on desktop and mobile, and it's also free forever for everyone. So you can do these really cool little graphs and tables in here. If you were to click this, you can just click a little button, and that's actually using Zia. So it's hidden by this phone photo. But you would just click Zia and she would bring up a bunch of really cool reports. And then you could just really easily see what you like, drag and drop it into here, share this document with people. This is all saved in WorkDrive. So you can share them externally or internally. You can password protect them if you have some really sensitive financial data or something like that. You can also set an expiry date for sharing externally as well. And then Zoho Show, which is what I have actually used to build this presentation for you today. So very similar to Sheet and Writer with themes, animations, transitions, really easy to collaborate. And then the cool thing is that it also integrates with Apple TV and Android and is compatible with PowerPoint as well. And again, it's always free as well. So that about sort of summarizes every application available in Zoho Remotely today. So I will show you a little bit of the admin panel. So I'm just going to switch over my slides. You should see my browser here. This is our Zoho Remotely demo account. And when you type in remotely.zoho.com, this is your sort of home screen. This is what you get sent to. So again, Lens is not available in Australia, but this is the US demo account, so it's showing up here. But basically, you could just click into these products. It would open in a new tab and it would go into it. Or you could simply type in a new tab, click.zoho.com, and that would open up. So heading into the admin panel, this is where you would set up your organization when you first log into Zoho remotely. So you can just put in all this information here, turn on your applications, and you'll notice that our Office Suite, Writer Sheet, and Show is not showing up here. That's because it's within WorkDrive. So any permissions and sort of access rights that you set up for your staff for the Office Suite will come under WorkDrive. And then you can also set up your users here. So it's really easy to just add a user. You just need a first name, email address, click what apps you want to assign to them. And then another cool thing is that if you have created a group, for example, the managers group, if you were to add in, every application with like the highest level of access, so they could access anything and everything, anytime you added another user to the managers group, they would automatically get all of those access, all of those access rights that you've given to the managers group. So it just makes adding new staff members really, really easy. If you have an intern group and say they only have access to maybe Click to communicate and maybe WorkDrive, but only one of the folders, maybe the general folder, maybe they don't need to see finance or marketing. Those folders will be hidden from them if you just simply add them into the intern group. So instead of setting it up separately for every different application and every new person, you can do it once really easily by creating a group here. And you can also do that in Zoho One if you have that as well. Then you can create admins. I did check, you can create unlimited amount of admins. So with Zoho Remotely, you can have up to 100 users on the free version, and all of them can be admins if you would like that. Then you can set up your domain here, connect that as well, which we haven't done. So that's what I wanted to really show you in the admin panel, unless you have any sort of specific questions about that. I'm going to show you some sort of resources and next steps, but feel free if you have any questions about the apps to post them now. I know there was one from earlier. I'll get to that one as well. So here we have some resources. So you can view information about Zoho remotely. The website is really good. There's lots of information on there, and you can also see the other webinars. Then you can go to the resources. This is my email here, lyra.m@zohocorp.com. If you have any questions that you forget right now and you want to ask later, feel free to take note of my email and send me an email, and I will answer it as soon as I can. Then we also have a free concierge call. So it's a half-an-hour call with a Zoho expert on the concierge team. They're not a sales team. They just want to talk to you about your specific requirements and how to make the best use of remotely. And this is also available for our other applications in Zoho One as well. You can just type in Zoho Concierge into Google and that should pop up. But yeah, you can head to this link if you would like to do that. I highly recommend it just because they can give you a really, really personalized idea of how you can use remotely for your business right now. I think I answered all of them in the chat. Yep. Okay, so Claudia has asked, Ari, Showtime, what reports can you download after the session? Are they similar to another big platform that a lot of people are using at the moment? So in terms of reporting, let me try and find a little photo that I can show you. Basically, it's quite detailed. You can see how active people were um, and how many questions were asked, how many questions were answered, what polls were done. You can see all the chats, you can see um, the difference compared to the people who registered and the people who attended. Yeah, and there's a few more bits and pieces that you can see. Here we go. Um, so here's my screen here. I'll go back. So this is an example of the analytics that you can view after the session is finished. So you can see the engagement level of people, how long it took, the average time spent by attendees, who answered the evaluation, which you're going to hopefully answer for me after this webinar. Thank you so much, just so I can see what you want to learn about next time and sort of what's important to you. This is just an example of the payment gateway that you would set up. And that's just your users. So yeah, this is the type of reporting. If you're interested in more information on the reporting, yeah, send me an email. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I am going to say goodbye and hop off. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you all listening in. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day or night wherever you are. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again soon.